Hello everybody. Welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and that you're all having an absolutely incredible day. And without any further ado, let's jump right into it. In news that was lightly confusing because years ago, the idea of this was not a thing and we were kind of told that it would never be a thing. However, as time has gone on, it is interesting to see the shift in how people are trying to make money and what they say in the future would actually be considered a form of money. I will go over it and then, of course, I will explain exactly what is taking place. It says, are you expecting the greenback, the US dollar, to be replaced by Bitcoin? One company is bidding to Bitcoinize the dollar by enabling stablecoins and other assets be built atop Bitcoin by way of the Lightning Network. The original idea is that Bitcoin would replace the US dollar and therefore every other fiat currency. However, there's a lot of money to be made with issuing stable coins and also dealing in stable coins in some sort of way. So now there are proposals. The idea being Bitcoin would replace fiat, period. Or rather, comma, because next to that, you have the idea that Bitcoin's transactions are a little bit too slow to be able to do that. So how do you revolutionize this? You create the Lightning Network. The Lightning Network allows for instantaneous transactions, and the old wives' tale we've been told for a while is that eventually we're going to get to 1 million transactions per second with the Lightning Network, and therefore nothing will ever be able to stop Bitcoin. At least this is the story that we've all been told. But how do you make more money from Bitcoin and the Lightning Network? You make sure that people can also then build digital dollars on top of Bitcoin. This has been proposed before. It never really stuck and or worked out because a lot of other people have chosen, when they do use stable coins, to typically use the ones that are on top of Ethereum and or normally just Tether. But Tether's across multiple blockchains, and I think Ethereum has the highest share of Tether that's out there. So when you get news like earlier this year that Tether's profits have continued to skyrocket despite prices falling down earlier this year or last year, what have you, so on and so forth. And then you get news that Coinbase is like, hey, we also would like to revolutionize the world. And they also announced that they're trying to boost more support for their stablecoin because people realize that stablecoins are actually being used in multiple other places around the world. So then you have this narrative that you can kind of throw out there. Well, we're doing this so that we can help other poor people. Yes, other people around the world who are looking for a way to, they usually throw out something out there saying that they're doing this for the good of humanity, when it's actually these companies who are making billions of dollars in profit just from the fees on their chain. If you were really a humanitarian and were trying to help, you would donate half of those billions to the people who you claim that you're actually trying to help, but that's neither here nor there. So the next step is, as the Lightning Network company, the people who make it, who build on top of it, is to simply announce, well, we also want to help out humanity as well. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to make sure that people can build stable coins on top of the Lightning Network. This isn't being done fee-free. This isn't being done, as a way to let's actually help these people around the world. You do it to say, well, we originally said that Bitcoin was going to be the only currency. And then we said, well, the only way that Bitcoin could get help was from the Lightning Network. Well, the only way that the Lightning Network can get help and also other people around the world is to make sure that other people can build other assets on top of the Lightning Network the same exact way that they do for Ethereum, because Ethereum is the most used and the chain that has the most network activity on top of it. So you make something else on top of Bitcoin and say, well, it's the same exact thing, except ours is more revolutionarily amazing because it has the word Bitcoin in front of it. Lightning Labs, one of the main companies working on Bitcoin's Layer 2 Lightning Network, has released a Taproot assets on the mainnet allowing for the issuance of stablecoins and other financial assets on the Bitcoin blockchain. This is why also earlier this year, the idea of Bitcoin having NFTs was like, I don't know if you remember, was quite controversial by a lot of developers who work on Bitcoin. Why? Because Bitcoin is in essence meant to just kind of be a form of payment and or a way to move value around the world. So when you start taking Satoshis and you start writing things on top of them or start putting NFTs on top of them and saying, well, this is another thing for it. This is why you might remember a lot of developers were like, I don't really care for this idea. So now you make another way for people to be able to put stuff on top of Bitcoin to make it similar and or more like Ethereum. It's not that Bitcoin is even falling behind, the idea being Bitcoin is doing enough. When you say that this chain alone is transacting trillions of dollars every single month, that's more than enough of an actual use case. Bitcoin doesn't need, not that it can't have them, but if you want to keep Bitcoin strong, it doesn't need NFTs. It doesn't need all these other things wrapped around it so that it makes it similar to other chains. Bitcoin is number one for a reason. It's because it's Bitcoin. According to a press release, the new set of developer tools will allow for Bitcoin to become a multi-asset network, taking the protocol to the next financial level, because a lot of people who are in the space now are trying desperately, as opposed to making sure that Bitcoin remains strong by itself, desperately are trying to make sure that Bitcoin looks very similar to other things in the traditional financial world, which is the exact opposite reason why we have Bitcoin. You want Bitcoin to be the opposite of everything that caused the 2008 financial collapse. They said this means that people all over the world will be able to access the global payment network of the future with just a mobile phone. They're trying to, there was also another article somewhere around here. I think they're trying to say that people will be able to, I think, send lightning payments in the future with your mobile phone. Got it. But also through the form of email and a whole bunch of other stuff that they're also trying to do. So relatively popular news in that we have been hearing more about the Lightning Network over the last couple of months. We had news recently that I think the Lightning Network has grown by 2,000%. I think maybe this year alone or this quarter, I forgot the exact time frame for it. More people are using it. We heard before from Binance and Coinbase that they're going to be integrating it onto their website as like the main way to send. I'm like flailing my arms around the room. You can't see me. For the main way to be able to send Bitcoin back and forth through all the networks, to kind of have less strain on the main chain, the core, and have all the activity happening on the Lightning Network, what have you. So cool. Fantastic. Fascinating to see. Now, this more is a... for people who care about actual decentralization and like the actual, like, I hate the term purity of Bitcoin, but you understand what I kind of mean there. It's interesting how much is being thrown on top of it to try and make Bitcoin something more than it already is, and it is. Anyway, that's the Lightning Network news. We'll see what ends up happening. This has been proposed before. This is not the first time that this has happened. People have also tried to put other stable coins on top of Bitcoin, like the actual main chain, but now they're doing it on Lightning. So wonderful. What a grand new way to make money and to try and make Bitcoin look exactly like the banking sector. And yeah, let's move on. Also I think this was supposed to be important news. A lot of people were talking about it, and it was, but I'm not sure if it's because it has the word Coinbase in it, or if people found this news to be something spectacular. One of the major banks within Europe is called Berenberg, Berenberg, has reported in a recent research paper that Coinbase's trading volume in the United States has dropped more than expected in the third quarter. This was also news like 2 weeks ago, where for some reason there were a lot of reports floating around about the trading volume on cryptocurrency exchanges haven't fallen. Is that English? Haven't fallen? Over the course of this year, as cryptocurrency prices dropped. And it was like, well, yes, I would have also assumed if no one is really in the crypto market as prices were falling, that of course they would have less transactions, and less transactions means less volume. But now a major bank in Europe took the time out of their year to go over the numbers from Coinbase and have come to the conclusion that when prices were dropping, less people were trading. And as less people traded, Coinbase didn't get as much money as they made before. The report emphasizes that the expectation of a decline in Coinbase shares is maintained. Referring to the block in the Berenberg report, it states that the US-based cryptocurrency exchange's Coinbase trading volume has dropped by approximately 17% and 52% on a quarterly and annual basis, respectively. Coinbase is going to be announcing their third quarter results, which apparently is also a big thing. This is another one of those like, oh, snaps, why did that make major news kind of things? But usually things going down and or not doing well news tends to be relatively popular news within the cryptocurrency space. So yes, a major bank in Europe reported that Coinbase's volume isn't doing well as it did before when we were in the 2021 bull run. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to shake this news's hand or what I'm supposed to do with it, but wonderful, fantastic. So I assume we should get the opposite report over the course of 2024 and 2025 about how much Coinbase's volume went up. Anyway, that's the European bank had nothing better to do with their time than to kind of give us the obvious news. Okie dokie. Let's move on. Also yay! Binance apparently has secured a partnership with a regulated entity to facilitate Euro transactions. Through the new collaboration, announced through an official blog post aiming to enhance the platform's Euro-related services, enabling users to conduct deposits and withdrawals more efficiently. Integrating these undisclosed partners will also accommodate transactions through the SEPA, the Single Euro Payments Area, reinforcing Binance's commitment to user convenience. So earlier, maybe it was summertime, there was a lot of really weird news that for some reason a lot of Binance's paperwork was being revoked or not being renewed, or a couple of countries kept on saying that Binance, they had to refile their paperwork, whatever the case might have been. If you look into a lot of these countries and their activities saying that Binance didn't do X, Y, and Z, they're not the most uncorrupt countries. So a lot of the news, grain of salt as far as like, once again, I do not ever believe that Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, and Gemini are simply opening up shop around the world and making sure that they do not comply with regulations. It simply does not make sense. As a multi-billion-dollar company like Binance, you would do everything in your power to make sure that you have all the possible paperwork to be able to work in a country. On top of that, we got news that I think Binance was discontinuing a number of their Visa cards within Europe because of regulatory whatever or other or something like that. And then we also had news that wasn't very popular that a couple of, I think 2 banking entities, I think who were working with Binance, announced that they would no longer be doing business with the company in some sort of way. So it appears that now Binance has found another regulated entity, another bank, another platform to be able to help them with Euro transfers within Europe, essentially. So cool. Amazing. Not the most exciting news in the world, but a lot of times if anything happens to Binance, it's clearly the end of the cryptocurrency world. A lot of people completely lose their minds and they start talking about all this other nonsense that's happening behind the scenes. So cool. I do wonder as far as like how difficult it must be to get a banking partner in multiple different countries or even just in general. Like, I would assume that it wouldn't be that difficult. Maybe they tend to only partner with 1 or 2 different entities And then I don't know, because I feel like I'd be partnered with like 45 different banks as like a, as a just in case, but maybe paperwork kind of gets in the way. So cool. Binance apparently has found a new Euro transaction partner. I hope it works out for them. And if not, there will be some other bank who also allows them to do so. So cool. Fantasticals. And yeah, let's move on. Tying into, I guess, the hype of the world currently right now, people once again have been scouring the Bitcoin blockchain, trying to figure out exactly how many Bitcoin that people have. We've been getting a lot of whale news over the course of the last, I say half a year was when the whale news really began to pick up. The idea being whales have been buying 80 to 85% of all the Bitcoin that's out there has been gobbled up by the richest people on the planet. A really big metric years ago, years and years and years and years and years ago, was how much Bitcoin people were holding, but it was more of a how many people have one entire Bitcoin. The idea being 21 million Bitcoin before we knew that 6 million were lost and gone forever. How many people, thus saying 21 million people would be able to hold an entire Bitcoin by themselves? Apparently someone found information and has been looking through the blockchain, and now officially there are now over 1 million addresses holding at least one Bitcoin. It says these addresses own around 18.12 million Bitcoin. There are 8 billion people on the planet. 8 billion people. 1 million addresses holding at least one Bitcoin. These 1 million addresses are now holding 92% of the entire Bitcoin supply. We have not gotten to the 2024 halving. We are nowhere near the 2028 halving, and we have not gotten to the 2032 Bitcoin halving, where Bitcoin is expected to go over the $1 million mark. And we already have a situation where 92% of all the Bitcoin out there is owned by essentially 1 million addresses. For those of you who don't know, most people do not keep all their crypto in one basket, in one wallet. So those 1 million addresses are probably close to around 400 to 500,000. That is to say, if you were lucky enough to actually own 2 Bitcoin, you would probably have one on a ledger and one on a laptop somewhere else. So there would be 2 separate addresses for the Bitcoin, even though they are, you get it. So yeah, the amount of Bitcoin out there available for the public continues to dwindle. I still hold very firm. We are probably going to live in a world. So we already live in a world where the rich are like absorbing and owning everything. I cannot tell you how many documentaries I keep seeing about rich people. I mean, owning and buying as much real estate as possible, buying as much land as possible. Did you see there was a video? Oh gosh, this was maybe like sometime in the summer, maybe like a little bit before. There was a father recently somewhere in the States, I think for his son's 15th or 16th birthday, he bought him land, but I mean like an egregious amount of land. And I was like, this guy knows exactly what's up. Like, anyway. So on top of that, we now have a situation where we know that all these rich people are buying up all the Bitcoin with the expectation of it hitting $1 million, $10 million, $100 million. Do you understand the sentence? The last Bitcoin will be mined in the year 2140. It is the year 2023, and 92% of all Bitcoin that has been created is owned by less than 1 million people, while there are 8 billion people on the planet. So, as always, I look forward to the future because I think we are going and heading down a very obvious path where the people, this is my opinion, The people who own the crypto will be the wealthiest. It's the same exact thing when we saw and keep seeing. It's not in the news as much anymore. The frenzy of people buying up Ether to be able to have passive income. The idea of being able to have bought Ether a while ago. Having Ether now, the price goes up, and from the passive income alone, you live from it. It took 5 to 6 years to be able to do that. I think the same thing's going to happen with Bitcoin and other forms of securities and other ways to make passive income from your Bitcoin and other crypto. Very interesting future ahead, and I think the only people who will benefit from it are the people who are investing. Yeah, it appears that there are now over 1 million addresses that own over 1 Bitcoin. That's 92%. 92.87% of the entire circulating supply. And yeah, let's move on. Also okay, sure, okay, why not? Coinbase's layer 2 network known as Base has taken what they call a significant step towards transparency and community collaboration by making the Base code and their repositories and smart contracts accessible to the public. This is a used to be quite common thing. The code for these applications and these chains and for all these other projects years ago, open source, available to the public. You could make your own if you wanted to based off of our code. It makes it a lot easier for you to be able to make something and integrate with us, and kind of shows more, the word's not transparency, it's more like clarity and being able to like integrate within the cryptocurrency ecosystem by itself. The issue is that many different projects out there tend to announce that they are decentralized, and they are not decentralized. And then we have seen, me, you, us, right here, yeah, me and you, have seen throughout the last couple of years these projects go belly up or disappear or have rug pulls because they claim, like many decentralized exchanges or many different chains, to be decentralized, and therefore, people believe it, and then we find out that only 3 people are actually controlling the entire chain. Earlier this year, when Coinbase announced that they were going to have something special, and then they announced that they were making their own blockchain that they called Base, they announced that the end goal is to make it as decentralized as possible for the public to use. I told you, how many of you actually believe that Coinbase is going to make a chain that they created and essentially own, free for public use so that anyone can do anything that they want all willy-nilly? If any of you rose your hands, please put it down, because we also got news earlier, I think this was maybe September, August. Coinbase basically said that they're going to try and reach a level of decentralization, some level of decentralization. But if there's ever a situation where there's activity on chain that governments don't like, or, a regulator says, hey, something is wrong here, they will be able to freeze your transactions and freeze your money and give your data to the appropriate regulators and or governments that are out there. Coinbase is trying desperately to make it seem like they're not a corporation, but like they're something for the people. There are a lot of other companies who tried doing this years ago, and it didn't work out. Something similar to like a Facebook kind of thing. What do you mean? Like, we're here for you. We're here to make sure that you have control over your own data. We've been stealing it for years, but now you have a control and a say in the data that we're still collecting and that we're going to give to world governments, because that's just, the actual business model. So Coinbase is now on this train, and they've been trying to do this since the beginning of the year, and I would assume it has to do with the fact that not as many people are using Coinbase as before. They're still wildly, insanely popular. However, many other platforms are now being used. Whenever we get news, hey, cryptocurrency regulations have launched within Hong Kong. There are now 5 companies who have licenses to work there, and none of them are Coinbase. People in Hong Kong are choosing one of these 5 companies in their own borders, as opposed to being like, well, let me sign up for Coinbase USA. Same exact thing within Europe, same exact thing within Australia, same exact thing within Africa, same exact thing within Latin America. So their share of the market has dropped quite considerably. And this is why we've seen Coinbase going on this really weird thing earlier this year where they were telling you, the community, hey, we need your help. Hey, Coinbase family, we need your help in this situation against the SEC. Hey, Coinbasers, I don't know if they ever said that, but it sounds applicable in that situation. They're always trying to say, like, we're here for you. Coinbase is a company, much like Binance. And this is why I like that Binance doesn't pretend to do this whole, like, hey guys, we're all in this together. Binance makes it abundantly clear, we are a company. If you do something wrong on our chain, we are going to freeze your transactions instantaneously. If there's something going on and governments ask us for your information, we are going to make sure that they have your information because we want to be regulatorily compliant. Coinbase, on the other hand, does these really weird, like, we're going to do this for transparency. We're going to make sure that you have control. No. This is Coinbase's chain, and they will always have control over this chain. There is not going to be a point in history where Coinbase, the multi-billion-dollar company, is going to relinquish control of their chain to the public. Think about that. This chain will never be as decentralized as Bitcoin and, dare I say, even Ethereum ever. The decision to make their code open source was announced in October via a blog post with the goal of enhancing accountability and promoting collaborative development. The Base team highlighted their commitment to transparency by stating, and I quote, "By sharing our work openly, we enable the community to track our progress and ensure that we're living up to our commitments. This transparency also serves as a catalyst for collaboration, as it allows developers to tap into our knowledge base, building upon and refining what's already in place. Further, it provides a channel for valuable community feedback, whether it's about improving documentation or spotting an overlooked bug." End quote. So cool. Coinbase continues on their crusade to try and get people to use Base. Remember all the news that we got, like I told you, for the first couple of weeks after this thing came out. People are building on Base. We have new stablecoins. People are doing this. Our things are being, and it's like, okay, cool. I'm sure you are working with a lot of companies who you told to build on top of this thing. It's just a matter of, will people actually choose in the future who are not institutions? Will normal people decide to actually build on your chain? Do they want to use it? Do they need it? We already have Ethereum. Anyway, cool. Coinbase continues to try and make sure that you know how cool and awesome and young the baseball cap backwards on their head to let you know all these kind of things. It's just a very weird time in life, in the cryptocurrency space, but also for Coinbase. It seems like a weird identity crisis where they're trying to figure out, like, how best to, like, look nice in the public eye, and it's like, Just be real about it. Like, you're a company. Say that you created this chain. You're collecting everyone's data, which they are. This is how, like, it actually has to work. Like, in order to be regulatorily compliant, like, everything kind of has to be gathered in one place. And this is why we have this situation where the SEC wants all the information about everything that's happening with every single cryptocurrency exchange so that they can scour through transactions. And for those of you who missed it a couple of weeks ago, we had news, I believe it was from the IRS, who basically announced, like, hey, we want all the information from these crypto exchanges so we can make sure and see if people have been, Yeah, very, very interesting. We'll see what happens, but I don't think it's going to be a win. I think Coinbase is going to be working with companies who will mutually benefit from using their chain, and or will be working with the actual creation of stablecoins to get a fee as well. But besides that, this as far as decentralization and, like, actual community ownership goes, this ain't it. I do hope that you have all enjoyed. I do hope that you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever the heck you might be. I do hope it is absolutely fantastic. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and or supporting, and I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See